I'm actually flying out tomorrow at this time. I'm going to Sydney for the 2025 Maidan Cup. It's supposed to be early in the year, but it was postponed due to bad weather. Now it's in November, and we'll be shooting a 50-meter Culkin target. The format's changed so that we are preparing for the World Nomad Games in 2026 in, I think, Kyrgyzstan. We've done 2 qualifiers, one in Sydney at Maidan, one in Melbourne with the Archery Ascension crew hosted at Box Hill. There'll be one in Sydney this weekend, and then they'll be rotating the remaining qualifiers. My personal goal is to just make top 8 and maybe sneak in some eliminations. I was 14th in the first qualifier, 10th in the second qualifier. I mean, I'm trying to work hard to actually improve my technique and skill to be competitive. I mean, it's easy to say, oh yeah, I'm shooting PBs now, but the actual event, we'll see what happens. Similarly, I'm actually doing the Archery Australia National Target Championships in mid-November as well. So immediately after Maidan, I'm going to switch bow styles and disciplines and start training up for that one in the limited time that I have. So because there's a lot of preparational events right now, probably a good time to talk about what it means to prepare for an event. So I've been asked, what do I do, how much time I spend, how much time you should spend on preparation. So we'll break down several different aspects of preparation, and this will apply to pretty much any kind of event or style of archery in which you might be competing for. The first question is the easy one. How much time should you spend on preparation? And the real anchor here is, how much time do you have? How much time are you willing to invest into your archery? As a professional adult, you may have family and or job, among other things, that will heavily reduce the amount of time that you have. If you are fortunate where you can train during the day, you work more flexible hours, you work from home, or you're a young person, you're a student, and you can have your parents drive you around, fantastic. That's a great benefit for you. Generally, more time to train and more flexible time means you've got more to work on and more you can improve on in any given period of time. My training partner can train 5+ hours a day. I can barely do 5 hours a week. The gap is obviously there. I'm nowhere near as good or as confident or as predictable or as consistent. But it doesn't necessarily mean that more training is going to be better as well. It's a mistake to think that shooting more or training more will result in higher results. You have to recognize that it's not just the quantity of preparation, but the quality of preparation. And there's very much a case where if you overtrain and you focus on wrong things, you can actually develop bad habits and form faults that creep in, and you might see a slump in your form. So it's much more important to have focused goals each time you train. People who do preparation sessions or training sessions leading to events might do a few particular things. It might be scoring rounds or ranking rounds, so you can judge your current benchmark and level. It might be doing what you might call lab work, where you're in a shed like this and you're looking at your form, shooting, recording, doing form analysis, working with a coach, where you are trying to improve specific things. The probably worst kind of practice is the mindless autopilot practice, where they're just shooting and shooting and shooting. That, in my opinion, has minimal benefit, not no benefit. You can definitely benefit from just shooting, but what exactly are you working on? It might be conditioning, where you are improving your stamina, shooting whole round. Sure, that's great. It might be just improving your focus. That's good too. But just mindless shooting, probably not the best idea. If you're serious about preparing for an event, I would recommend that you have goals specific to each session and you identify what you want to work on. And speaking of what you want to work on, let's break down 4 areas that you could identify as goals or objectives. The 4 I'll cover in this talk will be fitness and conditioning, equipment, technique, and mindset. None of these are any more important than the other. They're all equally part of your success pie, if you're doing a pie chart, they're pretty much equal. But some things will take more time to get ready than others. So I do want to start with fitness and conditioning as number one. That includes building your strength and stamina for an entire event. Now, a lot of people who start doing events, journeymen who might shoot occasionally at the club, might not shoot rounds frequently, might get surprised at how long these days are. Like, these are pretty intense, long sessions, but might take 2-3 hours to do a whole round. You're going from casually shooting 100 hours in a day to shooting 100 hours in the morning session, including practicing, warm-ups. So it's a long day, and you do need to shoot the same focus, intensity, and quality with the last arrow as you would your first arrow. So you need to know your body well enough to recognize that you might be getting fatigued, you might be slipping in your form. These aren't necessarily things that you don't know. You know you're slipping, but you don't have the physical ability to hold the bow steady, to expand steadily, and therefore there's not much you can do. You're shooting badly and you know it. So you need to appreciate that it takes time to build up that strength, conditioning, stamina, and so on. These are things you need to start early, especially because archery uses muscle groups you don't normally train up. You don't build them through everyday usage. Typical gym routines won't cover archery muscles specifically. So it's really a case of use it or lose it. Very important. Even a week of archery can make you feel like you've lost that touch, you've lost that that solid conditioning. So you do need to build in conditioning early in your routine. General strength conditioning is a good thing. So if you're doing weight training at the gym or at home, that can definitely help. You don't have to do SPTs. Just general conditioning will make you feel better. Core training makes you feel better. SPTs target specific archery muscles. So if you only have time for one set of exercises, then SPTs are the most efficient way to build strength and stamina. But any kind of conditioning will help you overall. But apart from conditioning, I have to include fitness. These two go together. That includes diet, that includes sleep. You cannot be in good competitive condition only through conditioning. You do have to look after your health, both your physical and your mental health. Underrated. I think sometimes people go way too far on the shooting part, but shooting is both a physical and a mental exercise. So you do have to look after yourself, have a balanced life, as well as look after yourself in terms of diet and other things about yourself too. Along with conditioning, I do have to emphasize the fitness part, not just building strength and muscle, but also generally balancing your life. That includes eating well and sleeping well. Archery is as much a mental exercise as it is a physical exercise. If you're eating poorly, you're just training a lot, yes, you're building strength and you're building more confidence. But if you just go home and junk on, pizzas and hamburgers, you might not feel like the best. I know sometimes you might look at some top shooters who are very big-bodied, compound shooters especially tend to be prone to this. And yeah, you'll shoot fine, but sometimes you yourself individually might feel yuck about yourself or your body, and just having that improved level of conditioning and fitness, maybe lose some weight, improving your muscle tone and muscle mass, can help. So these things take time. You can't just build muscle and conditioning over a few days or a few weeks. Try to start early with this because you can't fix it. Okay, so use it or lose it, but build good habits. If you start late and you drop out of the routine, much harder to keep going again. It takes time to restart. Even things like your fingers being conditioned, it takes weeks to get the strength back in your fingers. You can hold the string and shoot 100 arrows. For me, it's both the fingers and the thumb because I'm shooting both styles the next month. So that can catch you off. So do make sure that you spend enough time leading up to the event so that you don't feel like you are behind the game or behind the bow when you are competing in the whole day event. Number 2 is equipment. Some people have the mindset, especially starting out, that it's not the bow, it's me. Like the bow shoots better than me. And Again, starting out, that's true for most people. But you will reach a point where your skill and technique are better than what the bow can do, or as good as the bow. So you don't want to use the bow as an excuse for not shooting well. That means do spend time to check that your arrows are correctly spined, that your limbs are aligned, that everything is actually tuned on your bow. More so for, again, the modern bows, compounds, recurve, bare bow even. Traditional, there's a lot less to tune, but you do want to, get the right matching arrows and make sure things work. Strings need to be checked. Get new strings if you're doing that. Shoot them in. Make sure you have enough spare parts, nocks, arrows, points, and so on. Anything can go wrong in the competition. Things will break. Things go missing. So be ready. You just don't want to come in unprepared with equipment, because it is your responsibility to have your gear there. So it's not a lot of preparation, but you do need to devote time to making sure that your gear works. As an anecdote, last nationals, I really came in unprepared. I finished last for a reason, for many reasons, both professional and personal. But my gear was actually pretty crap, right? My veins weren't correctly aligned, so I was tearing them most of the time. I didn't have confidence in my stabilizer setup. I actually had a loose screw on my stabilizer, so every 5 shots, my right rod would actually come loose and swing loose. I had to tighten it every single time. And that, even though it might hold for 3 shots, the lack of confidence in that shot would mean that my following shot would be off. I just didn't have that control, even though physically I could. Mentally, I've just been distracted by the swinging stabilizer. So that sort of thing is something I should have avoided. I should have made sure that if it was loose, glue it in. Just do whatever it takes to make sure my equipment functions the same every single shot. So that sort of thing, up to you. Your responsibility. Get your equipment working. Okay, number 3, technique. Technique, probably the hardest thing to diagnose. If you're shooting well, you're shooting well. If you're shooting poorly, you probably have no idea why. This is where you have the biggest slumps. Conditioning, if you do consistently, you're fine. Equipment, it's fine till you touch it, then it's just suddenly not fine. But technique is very much on and off. You might be really good one day, and the next day, no freaking idea what you were doing. Normal, but something you do have to address. In this case, if you have a coach, then great, or someone to watch you, or you can coach yourself, you can record yourself and log what you were doing, but really conceptualize what you are doing. Again, don't go into a competition unprepared. In this case, don't go in a competition and not know how to shoot your good shot. Your first shot up the competition should be the one you've practiced 1,000 times. If you go in and you go mind blank, I forgot how to shoot, which is a normal thing for a lot of people, it's going to be what you think it would be. It's going to be bad. You're going to miss a target. You're going to miss your shot completely. It's going to feel terrible. And eventually you'll get back into it, hopefully, and you warm up and you figure out again. But don't go mind blank. Once you go in, it's going to be the same as practice. Very common saying, shoot the way you do in practice, which means that you've practiced the same shot, same target, same distance. It's the same shot. Do it. That means everything, your technique needs to come together. Your draw, your anchor, your back tension, your alignment, your sight picture. These are specific technical aspects. Very common that people will have a technical slump or form slump. So you need to address what that is. Things creep in. It might be wrist stiffen, elbow alignment bad, bad expansion, might be a lean back, or might be a poor setup. I've worked with a lot of archers at different levels, and there are 100 things that can creep in, and for some reason one day you're shooting all to the right for some reason, or top right, or shooting all to the left. It might be you shooting low for some reason, and once you have someone watch you, or you watch yourself on video, then you go, oh, my bow setup is wrong, or I'm moving too far to the right, or I'm collapsing too much. Lots of things. So spend time to examine your form and analyze your technique. Video record. It actually helps if you record yourself over a long period of time. So if for some reason today or this week you've got this consistent pattern where you're shooting right, and you compare your shooting from last month, you might see a difference. As a coach, I do have that vision ingrained where I look at people and go, you're doing something different today. Like your stance is different, your grip is different. I can see that, but you might not because you can't see yourself. But if you record yourself, you might spot the pattern before anyone else notices. And that can explain connections between faults in your form and your results versus changes over time. So the more aware you are of what you are doing specifically, technically, then the more things you can copy and paste for your blueprint shot at the event. So that's something you can work on. That is looking at technique, training technique specifically. This is where the lab work comes in, where you're not really shooting for points. You're not really scoring. You're just working on technique. Not mindless. Okay, not mindless shooting, but specifically looking at what works and examining what doesn't, evaluate and implement. And the last one, and by far not the least important, is shot mentality. Building the right mindset to going into competition. For most people, it's just nerves. You might not be used to competition. It's the first time you're going to an event or going to this kind of event. So therefore, the atmosphere is very different. The people, the vibe is very different. And you don't feel ready. You feel anxious, you feel nervous, and that breaks down your form. Everything you've trained for over the last few weeks or months kind of means nothing when you come in and just like, what is this? So mindset is important here. What I like to do for preparation here is shoot rounds. Not everyone recommends or should shoot scoring rounds. A lot of people just want to work on form, and that's good. If form and technique is your slump that you need to work on, then work on form. Other people might just need more exposure. I have decent form, not saying I'm great, but I don't have much experience in shooting rounds. So scoring rounds where every arrow is accountable, shooting with people, shooting on a busy shooting line with like music in the background, that sort of thing I'm not really used to. So when people say shoot like you do in practice, I don't practice enough in its conditions. So you might need to spend more time shooting more rounds. For me, I like to shoot rounds because it holds me accountable. I don't quit halfway through. I have to shoot all 72 arrows or 90 arrows or 144 arrows. I've got a score, therefore if I shoot a bad arrow, I need to practice working through how to cope with a bad shot and move to the next shot. I need to look at the score and not be freaked out. Some people ignore it, and that's a coping mechanism, completely fine. I feel like I need to pay attention to the score and go, okay, it is what it is, move on to the next shot. So that's my preparation. I like to see where I'm at. My last few weeks for training for Maidan have actually been scoring rounds. We shoot 9 arrow ends, 7 ends, so 63 arrows. I want to see where I measure up, especially comparing to personal bests. And it feels good when you shoot personal best. You know you're capable. I think the last part there is super important. This is a personal rant here. But knowing that you can achieve a certain score means that you know it's not impossible. It can feel a little overwhelming when you go in and you have no idea what you want to do. I know some people might feel pleasantly surprised, but I think for me, I want a par score. There's my ideal score, maybe my PB is what I want to get, but there's that average score that I should expect to get, and that's what I want to aim for. I'm pleased with that. I'd be happy with the other one, but pleased or satisfied or content with at least a base level. So again, for me, shooting a scored round helps me build that competition mindset where I'm focusing on making every arrow count. I'm not falling into the autopilot trap. I'm just shooting aimlessly, and therefore I'm measuring myself under match conditions and therefore building a more resilient mindset. So those are the 4 things I would identify as potential areas to focus on when doing competition preparation. That is conditioning and fitness, equipment, technique, and So those are the 4 specific areas which you might consider when doing preparation for competition. That's fitness and conditioning. So those are the 4 things that you could consider as focal points for preparation. That includes fitness and conditioning, equipment, technique, and mindset. Everyone's going to be different. You can't really copy someone's preparation routine exactly because their issues and problems are different to yours. Their strengths and weaknesses are different to yours. So again, everything can work. Everyone's different. My preparation this time around is different from last year's preparation. Last year it's mostly conditioning. I hadn't shot for like months or years before the nationals, so I was mostly worried about one, losing weight, two, being more like match condition, match fitness, three, just having the stamina to last the entire round, and of course for nationals, lasting several days of shooting, and I could barely do that. So no surprise, I didn't do very well, but that's what I expected. This year I have better conditioning. I've been shooting for a bit longer, so I shouldn't be as panicky over my shooting. I should have more confidence. And the refinement for me in the last few weeks and months is technique and mindset. Conditioning, I feel pretty good, but I just need more of that mindset training. That's why I'm shooting more rounds, I'm doing more scoring, accountability shots, and just trying to identify my technique a lot more. So again, everyone's slightly different, work on different things or all of them, but really work yourself into a mindset, a mentality where you look forward to competition. You're gonna have fun. Archery is fun apparently, as we all say, as we're walking down to the fighting our lost arrows, but it's a good experience, but you gotta feel good about it. If you don't feel good, it's gonna drag you down. So if nothing else, then work forward. Then if nothing else, work towards being excited, do enjoy your training, do enjoy your archery, and of course, do your best.